Imagine yourself standing among the cobblestone streets of ancient Rome in 67 AD, witnessing something that would freeze your very soul. Emperor Nero himself strides through the bustling marketplace alongside what seems to be his radiant new bride, an enchanting young woman adorned in the finest silks and precious gemstones. Yet hushed conversations trail behind them like shadows, because every Roman citizen understands the terrifying reality. This beautiful woman walking beside the world's most commanding ruler was formerly a youth called Sporus, and Nero's actions toward him? They constitute one of history's most chilling examples of systematic mental and physical torment. The towering marble pillars of Rome's central plaza create dramatic silhouettes. As the royal entourage makes its way through the empire's beating heart, crowds gather along the pathways, their expressions mixing awe with underlying dread as they observe this carefully orchestrated charade. The gleaming bronze monuments appear to bear witness to the spectacle unfolding beneath them, where truth itself has been manipulated beyond all recognition. Within this vast dominion spanning 60 million inhabitants, a single individual wields enough authority to reshape reality according to his whims. And he's employing that influence to craft a breathing falsehood that chills every spectator. Nero advances with manufactured assurance, his grip tightly secured around his beloved's waist. The woman now known as Sabina glides with studied elegance, each movement meticulously trained to preserve the illusion that she represents the cherished empress. However, Rome's people see through the elaborate masquerade. They've caught wind of the rumors, glimpsed the truth concealed beneath layers of luxury fabric and sparkling ornaments. This transcends mere imperial controversy. This represents something infinitely more disturbing. The tale you're about to discover extends far beyond typical stories of Roman decadence. This chronicles how unlimited authority can twist affection into fixation, sorrow into insanity, and transform a living person into a breathing puppet designed to fulfill one man's demented desires. While Sporus may be an unfamiliar name, his ordeal will linger in your thoughts long after this account concludes. Our story begins with the individual who orchestrated this catastrophe. Now here's the thing. Nero didn't emerge into the world as a monster. Surprisingly, his initial years as ruler demonstrated extraordinary potential. Upon claiming the throne at merely 16 years of age, countless Romans felt they were observing the birth of a magnificent era. He lowered taxation, he sponsored public festivities, and he participated in dramatic performances that captivated ordinary citizens. This youthful sovereign appeared genuinely invested in his subjects' prosperity, offering optimism to an empire exhausted by governmental chaos. Yet unlimited authority possesses an uncanny ability to corrupt even the most gifted individuals. By 65 AD, something essential had shattered within the emperor's psyche. Perhaps it stemmed from relentless suspicion that accompanies knowing countless people covet your throne. Maybe it resulted from the complete isolation of being the sole person among 60 million who faced no opposition, no criticism, no honest feedback whatsoever. Or possibly it connected to what befell the individual he proclaimed to treasure above all existence. She was called Poppaea Sabina, embodying everything Nero believed he desired in a companion. Breathtakingly gorgeous, intellectually capable of matching his inflated self-perception, and sufficiently ambitious to embrace his fantasies of everlasting fame. Yet Poppaea transcended mere court ornamentation. She wielded the razor-sharp political awareness that rendered her either a powerful confederate or a lethal adversary. When Nero initially encountered Poppaea, he remained wed to Octavia, daughter of the preceding emperor. Their union represented a frigid, passionless political arrangement. But Poppaea? She embodied Octavia's complete opposite. Where Octavia maintained quiet restraint, Poppaea radiated magnetic charisma, while Octavia preferred anonymity. Poppaea thrived as the focal point of universal attention. Nero and Poppaea's romantic entanglement commenced as standard Roman intrigue. Yet what began as simple infidelity rapidly transformed into something far more perilous. Authentic fixation. Nero didn't merely find Poppaea's appearance attractive. She dominated his thoughts in ways that alarmed his most trusted counselors. Historical chroniclers characterize Nero's conduct throughout this phase as progressively unstable and controlling. He would explode into homicidal fury whenever other men merely glanced at Poppaea during public gatherings. He positioned sentries around her constantly, supposedly for safety, but actually to scrutinize her every encounter. He showered her with presents that drained the royal coffers, precious stones from distant lands, exotic fabrics from the Orient, rare fragrances from Arabia. Most significantly, he began warping reality itself to accommodate his compulsion. Initially, he terminated his marriage to Octavia, an outrageous decision that estranged numerous allies. Subsequently, he declared his plans to wed Poppaea through complete imperial ceremonies. Their wedding became an exhibition of unmatched extravagance, with Nero investing limitless resources to showcase his dedication. Even matrimony failed to satiate Nero's hunger to completely control Poppaea. He commenced separating her from relatives and companions, encircling her exclusively with individuals whose positions depended entirely upon his approval. Historical records indicate Nero occasionally devoted entire hours merely observing Poppaea during her routine activities. This behavior didn't represent romantic commitment. It demonstrated someone who had mistaken love for possession, viewing another human not as an autonomous individual, but as an exquisite trophy existing purely for his gratification. Poppaea appeared to comprehend the treacherous situation she navigated. She possessed sufficient intelligence to recognize how her beauty combined with Nero's obsession granted her exceptional influence, while remaining astute enough to understand this power carried tremendous dangers. She began leveraging her position to benefit her family's standing, cultivating a protective network that might shield her should Nero's affections shift. However, Poppaea harbored one devastating weakness. She refused to fear confronting Nero. Unlike every other court member who had mastered reading the emperor's temperament, Poppaea maintained her autonomous character. She would challenge his governmental choices, condemn his artistic endeavors, and openly ridicule his presentations when she deemed them inadequate. Historical accounts of that tragic day in 65 AD differ among ancient scholars, yet the conclusion remained identical. What initiated as an ordinary household dispute, various sources cite disagreements about Nero returning late from racing events or theatrical commitments, escalated when the emperor's control completely disintegrated. According to historical testimony, tensions peaked when Poppaea dared question Nero's values, implying he prioritized public reputation over familial obligations. She carried their child at the time, expecting what might have become their second offspring, and perhaps her condition made her less tolerant of Nero's increasingly volatile temperament. Subsequent events have sparked scholarly debate for generations. Though experts generally agree that Nero, consumed by uncontrollable rage, struck or kicked his expectant wife with devastating force, causing fatal internal trauma. Some accounts describe a singular, devastating blow to her midsection. Others detail a prolonged assault, leaving her hemorrhaging and unconscious across the marble flooring. Consider that instant when Nero comprehended his actions. The individual commanding 30 military legions, capable of ordering executions with mere words, revered as divine throughout Eastern territories, had just annihilated his sole, genuine priority. The woman who had consumed his thoughts lay dying due to his own unleashed brutality. Ancient chroniclers portray the following scene as among the most pitiful in imperial records. Nero allegedly collapsed upon Poppaea's form, alternating between pleading for her pardon and demanding her survival, as though his governmental power extended beyond mortality itself. He assembled Rome's finest healers, promising them enormous wealth for preserving her life, while threatening excruciating punishment for failure. Yet nothing could be done. Nothing. Poppaea perished within hours, along with their unborn child who might have inherited the empire. At that moment, something essential collapsed within the emperor's consciousness. His subsequent mourning transcended mere emotional devastation. It represented total detachment from reality. Nero's grief became infamous. He rejected traditional Roman cremation customs, instead having her body preserved and entombed more magnificently than previous emperors. He proclaimed her godhood, founded religious worship in her honor, and spent days conversing with her remains as though she remained capable of hearing him. During this period of complete madness, a young man named Sporus unknowingly stepped into Nero's awareness. Completely unaware, he was entering a waking nightmare that would define his remaining brief existence.